Geoff, today is the day on the pod where I out myself as a gamer. Can you imagine if I announced that on a podcast?
Happy Pride.
I'm a wannabe music critic, Justin.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Geoff.
And welcome to Bants.
Welcome to Bants.
Welcome, everyone. It's been a great weekend already, and it's only Saturday.
It's only Saturday. The sun is out. Brat is out.
Yes, happy Brat.
Happy Brat.
To all who celebrate.
I love that Charlie did this for the gays. As she does everything. So she said, Pride Month, I'm dropping a new album. And it's fucking good. But that's for a later cast.
Yeah, don't fret, listeners. We will be talking about Brat. Spoiler alert. It good.
Wee-oo. It good.
It good. It really is.
It great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to talk about that next week.
We're going to talk about it next week with a special guest. Which
yes, our first guest of the pod. I'm very excited to have this guest because I have not seen her in multiple years at this point, so it will be great to reconnect over our shared love of Charlie XCX.
Yes, love Charlie. So how's your weekend been so far, Geoff?
It's been good. Busy playing catch up. My big event went great, as we already discussed, and I am just like chilling now, coasting. How about you?
It's been good. Yeah, I've had kind of a busy day already. So I went for a run this morning with Brandy. And then after that, we went to the DC Pride Parade, which is happening today.
Ooh la la. How was it?
Yeah. Well, it was good. There's a lot of rainbow capitalism going on, which gives me mixed feelings.
Hi, gay.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a weird confrontation between like pro-Palestine protesters who were kind of confronting the color guard, who were members of the armed services, like the Marine Corps.
You said confronting. Was this like truly like an adversarial sort of approach?
The pro-Palestinian protesters were kind of marching from the finish line of the parade towards the start line. And of course, the color guard is going in the opposite direction. The pro-Palestinian protesters were being peaceful. They weren't like trying to, cause any violence or like grab the flags out of the color guard's hands or anything like that. Yeah, it wasn't aggression, but it was, as all protest is, it was intentionally confrontational, right?
Yeah, disruptive.
It was disruptive, yeah. So, yeah, it was just a little bit odd. And it wasn't the protest itself that was odd. It was the reaction from the crowd, right? I think...
Yeah. Oh, don't tell me. Kendall Jenner came out with a single can of Pepsi and presented it in the middle to the warring factions. And then they all decided to drink that syrupy cola in perfect harmony.
Geoff, you're so right. Pepsi actually solved Israel-Palestine. Can you believe that?
Perfect. I knew they could.
Unfortunately, no, that's not what happened. Turns out capitalism can't save Israel-Palestine.
I had not known. Try telling that to Congress, am I right?
Oh, Congress. Put a laugh track in here.
Oh, should we get a soundboard? I've been thinking about this. I feel like we do need one. I think it would be fun.
Good idea. But yeah, unfortunately, that did not happen. There was a bunch of cops that were behind the color guard, and the cops behind the color guard kind of broke up the pro-Palestinian protesters, and the crowd like cheered for the cops, and the cops were like waving their little rainbow flags, after they broke up the protesters. So it was like very weird vibes. I was like, a little bit disappointed. Yeah.
This is exactly what you said. It's the rainbow capitalism. It's washing away the actual history of Pride and why it exists, because like we should be supporting people who are in need of support and who are the underdogs in life. We shouldn't be cheering for the po-po, breaking up a peaceful demonstration. I don't know. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I think it kind of like perfectly encapsulates our world as it is right now.
Yeah, I think it encapsulates like the mainstream left, I think, as it stands right now. Like it's more about kind of just like identity politics and making sure that the status quo is maintained, but like, hey, maybe we can have some more gay people in office or some more black people in office or whatever, right? Which is better compared to like the right, where they're like, fuck all those people. But I think it's still not great. Yeah, still not great. Still not great.
Yeah, we need to all get more progressive politics, man. We could have a whole pod about that.
Yeah, this is not that pod.
This is not. We do have some interesting things going on in the culture, so I think it's time for us to start our hot topics.
Hot topics.
Hot topics.
Let's get into it. Geoff, have you heard of the Big Cheez-It?
The Big Cheez-It. I can't say that I have.
Okay, well, are you familiar with the fast food chain Taco Bell? I would describe it as a legendary fast food chain.
No, who would play her?
You've never heard of her?
Nope.
You know, I would say Taco Bell is my favorite fast food spot, personally.
I think I have heard you mention it now that you bring that up. But what's this big cheese have to do with Taco Bell?
Big cheese.
Big cheese. It's the big cheese. Oh, remember that football team they had like the big cheese head thing?
Yeah, that's the Packers, the Green Bay Packers.
Now, where is that? I thought that was Wisconsin.
It is Wisconsin.
Oh, it is.
Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Okay, cute. Yeah.
Yes.
They love the dairy out there. They're like a huge part of their economy.
Yeah, see, that's big cheese.
I'm
cheese. Talking about Big Cheez-It.
Okay, all right. An important distinction. Oh, Cheez-Its. Yeah. The snack that smiles back? No, not
You're
the right
so
one?
close. You're so close.
Well,
that's
get there.
goldfish. That's goldfish.
All right, well, tell me more about this juncture of Taco Bell and Cheez-It.
Okay, well, you're familiar with how Taco Bell has partnered with Doritos in the past to make the Doritos Locos Taco.
Of course.
A very popular, crossover. It's like Super Smash Bros, but for fast food, right? They they made a taco shell that has like Dorito dust on it. It was very popular.
Love it.
Their most recent thing that they've announced is called the Big Cheez-It. And I have to mention that Taco Bell has been extremely weird about the rollout of this item because they had like a whole TED Talk or like Apple press conference style event where they like had like some Taco Bell dude, like the CEO, I'm assuming, or like some press guy that was just like with a microphone in front of a big, massive like projector screen. And he was like talking about how innovative this was, like that they made a really big cheese.
But this is like a spoof. They're doing this for the lols.
I think at this point, it's like half tongue in cheek, but it's also kind of real because Taco Bell has been doing this. Like, I think they're probably the most adventurous fast food chain when it comes to like innovating with their menu. Like, they do a lot of weird shit like this. You know, they've done like partnerships with hot sauces. They did nacho fries recently. And they keep bringing those back.
Nacho fries? What's that about?
Yes. It's literally just French fries with like some Dorito dust on them. That's all it is.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was thinking nachos like you order nachos at a restaurant that has like, beans and veggies on it and meats.
Well, you can get the nacho fries in the style of like nachos. They call them loaded nacho fries.
I don't know if I trust that from like a Taco Bell.
I think a good rule of thumb is to not trust anything you get from Taco Bell, but it tastes good.
Yeah, because it sounds like I'm going to be loading up my toilet later. That's what I'm going to be loading with these fries.
Geoff, I got to tell you, okay, we're already getting off topic, but I have to tell you that I do think that people who get diarrhea from Taco Bell just have weak stomachs.
I agree. I was just making a joke. I don't actually do that when I have Taco Bell. My stomach is very strong. Stomach of steel. Geoff Stomach of Steel Taylor. That's what they used to call me.
That's what they call you?
Yep. In high school.
That's like a...
On the team of swimming.
I would give that like a 6 out of 10 name.
Well, you didn't have a name, so how about that?
Yeah, well, my name was... I was mostly being bullied, so...
Hey, 2 points for me.
But yeah, anyways. Big Cheez-It. So their newest innovation is that they made a Cheez-It that's maybe like 6 inches by 6 inches. So very large compared to a normal Cheez-It. You can buy the Cheez-It by itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the Cheez-It as like a tostada. So they can put like beef and, like veggies on it. And you can eat it. And they also do a Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme. So usually a Crunchwrap Supreme, which for those who don't know is kind of like, they have like a hard taco tostada with cheese, nacho cheese, ground beef, and a bunch of veggies, all wrapped up, so it's very portable. I think the original tagline was that it's like good to go with the hand signal,
I did not know that. No, but I'm so glad you're explaining this in minute detail for us and all the listeners who you also think have not ever been out of the house.
Some people I hope that people go to Taco Bell less than I do, because I go a lot. So I'm like not sure if people are familiar.
So their big innovation is that it's just a fucking bigger Cheez-It?
It's just a very large Cheez-It. I mean, the literal name of it is just Big Cheez-It, which I find really funny. Taco Bell is like, come get Big Cheez-It.
That is insane. That's so lazy. I can't even give this more airtime.
No.
What?
Okay, really quick.
Okay.
It's not just that Taco Bell has done Big Cheez-It. It's that I have had the Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme.
Okay, was it good?
So, allow a little build up, a little suspense here.
Okay. Everybody hunker on down, get comfy, get your popcorn out.
Me and my friend Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Ken texted me. He was like,
it was your friend? Interesting.
Our mutual friend, Ken.
Okay.
Texted me on a weekday. He was like, hey, I'm trying to get the Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme. Do you want to join in? I was like, you know what? Sure. So he comes over. We get the 2 Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supremes. And Geoff, let me ask you, how do you think this product tasted?
I'm going to guess it probably doesn't have that much flavor in it.
Okay.
Probably not that great.
Well, how do you feel about a normal Crunchwrap Supreme? Let me ask that.
Oh, okay. I feel like good about them. Like on a night after like a night out, like if Taco Bell is like an option, it's still open. Like I want to go to there and I want to get a Crunchwrap Supreme al fresco.
They're good.
What's not to like?
There's something about the crunchiness of the tostada in the middle, plus the ground beef and especially the nacho cheese. Like it's got all the textures that you want from like a late night snack. You know what I mean? We got the Big Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supremes. I will say, starting with the positive, it had that like toasted cheese flavor that you get from the Cheez-It.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a nice flavor.
Yeah.
Right? I think we love that. But the Cheez-It does not have the texture of a tostada. Like the tostada is super crunchy, right?
Yeah.
By the time that we got the Crunch Wraps, the Cheez-It had like completely disintegrated into nothingness.
Yeah.
And it was like almost not even there. There was no crunch at all. And also the Cheez-It added so much salt that it was like, and Taco Bell is already salty.
Yeah.
Right? It was so salty that I was just like, okay, this just tastes like salty toasted cheese, you know? And this is like a $6 menu item.
That seems like not a lot, right?
I mean, it's like $1 more than the normal Crunch Wrap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're adding $1 on for this giant, Big Cheez-It.
Yeah, big.
Big Cheez-It, yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of these foods that I've been seeing lately are just fully bad ideas. Like, what's good about a Cheez-It is that it's like crackery. It's like light and kind of flaky when you eat it. Like, why would you think that putting all kinds of moisture on top of something that's like light and flaky is going to be good? All it's going to do is compress it and turn it into mush, which is exactly what you described.
That's exactly, yeah, this was my fear when I heard about this. I was like, somebody at Taco Bell, smarter than me,
must have considered this.
And
alas, they did not.
This is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of fast food.
Yeah.
They're like, we have this IP of Cheez-It, Big Cheez-It, and we want people to come in and
really
just get it.
This is really tickling you.
I just love the name Big Cheez-It is so stupid. It's so dumb.
It sounds ominous to me. It's like very much like Big Pharma.
Yeah. We gotta watch out for Big Cheez-It. They're really powerful. The block.
The cheese lobby's out of control.
The Cheez-It lobby.
The Cheez-It lobby is out of control. They'll fucking come and destroy you.
So I would not recommend Big Cheez-It.
That's not a good idea. You know what did I see the other day at the grocery store? You'll probably know what this was about. When I was in Maine, we were checking out, and you know how they always try to get you at the last minute with their little end caps next to the registers.
And they always do.
It was, I remember what it was. It was Sour Patch Kid Oreos. Sour Patch Kid Oreos.
These. Yeah, did you get them?
No! Are you joking me? Why would I have... What fever dream did somebody have where they thought, I know what this needs? This needs a bite of sour.
This is like when whoever made Space Jam was like, you know what we need in this? Batman.
Space Jam? The movie?
Yeah, the new one with LeBron.
I did not watch that. You watched that?
It ended up... No, I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. It ended up just being like a WB crossover event. Like, it was like all WB properties. They had like Game of Thrones in there. It was crazy.
Listen, Warner Brothers needs to give up the ghost. They are no longer relevant. They have a couple of things that they do well, which is like so far the Game of Thrones show. They did Barbie well, and they did the Game of Thrones prequel. That has been good so far. But Warner Brothers really needs to hang it up. DC is not ever happening. DC Comics, throw it out the door.
Superman, retire.
Retire. Wonder Woman, become invisible just like your jet. We're done.
It does feel like they're just kind of throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Like, they have so many failures.
How about this? I heard the other day that they made a Pop-Tart movie. Let our bad American food just be bad American food.
This is American culture, Geoff. Pop-Tart, the movie. This is all we got.
This is very sad. I'm getting depressed talking about
this. All right,
this.
let's move on. More brighter news, which is that celebrities are scamming regular everyday people.
But this is so much better.
Yeah, sorry. We have a lot of bad news this week.
I did hear about this a little bit. I don't know all the details, but basically from what I understand, these like up and coming artists were getting messages from celebrities like Neo and Fat Joe telling them like, oh, like I'm gonna make you a star, like we should collaborate together. And then it basically just became like a pyramid scheme of them like accepting money to help with marketing budgets and stuff, right?
Yeah, so this was reported in Rolling Stone. There was an expose, and I guess it's been happening at least since 2020. So for now, that's, going on 4-ish years. Yeah, big artists like Neo, Nick Cannon, The Game.
Let me ask you one quick thing before we even get into this more. What is Nick Cannon going to do for anybody except get them pregnant? I'm serious. What is he going to do?
I don't know, like, maybe he can get them to, like, be his assistant host on, like, America's Got Talent or whatever he does now. I don't know.
I think he is the host of that, but, like, what does that position do and pay? What kind of clout do they have?
I don't know. The last time I thought about Nick Cannon was probably, like, 2015 or something. I don't know.
Point for me.
How does that get you a point?
Don't ask the questions about that.
Okay, so you're the scorekeeper.
Yep.
Good to know. So, like, Neo would post, like, a video on Instagram being like, hey, up-and-coming artists, send me a DM, if you want to collab, send your best stuff. So these up-and-coming artists would DM Neo or whatever. Neo would then respond by being like, okay, cool, you want to collab? Send me $500 on Cash App.
Cash App?
Yes, Cash App.
Come on, that is so hood. We're not doing Cash App.
Right, but you gotta understand, these are people who are, like, desperate for a break in the industry, right? Like, it's so hard to get exposure. So, like, Neo would ask them for money. They would send it. And then the agreement, which again, there's no like written contract, right? These are people who don't have experience in the entertainment industry. Neo would be like, Neo or whoever it is, The Game, any of these artists, Fat Joe, they would be like, I can give you like an intro for a song of yours. Like I'll record an intro for your song. Or you can feature on my mixtape or something like that, right? And then after the money was paid, these up and coming artists would have to like harass the established artists repeatedly to get them to like send over the recording or to have the feature, right? Sometimes it never happened. Other times it did happen, but the collab was never featured like on the artist's official SoundCloud page. It was featured on like a secondary SoundCloud page.
What?
So there was this organization called the Block 365.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like this is kind of the organization that was behind all of this, right? It seems like during COVID, which again, this started in around 2020, touring income was at an all-time low. These artists that are kind of, I would say like B-tier artists were desperate for money, right? To maintain their lifestyle. And this was just like an easy way for them to take advantage of folks who wanted to break through in entertainment.
That is so diabolical.
It's deeply depressing, right? Because these are artists who, I feel like I kind of like Neo. Like I'm not like a big fan.
Miss Independent, he wrote that.
Yeah, he's a great songwriter. He's written songs for many people. He had like a solo career, was featured on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Irreplaceable. He wrote Irreplaceable.
That's right.
Your favorite Destiny's Child song, remember?
Jeff, let's not. We don't have to litigate this, but you asked me for a Beyonce or Destiny's Child song, and I responded Irreplaceable, which is indeed.
I thought we weren't litigating it.
All right. Okay. But yeah, it just feels like it's obvious exploitation of like an audience who doesn't know better,
I feel like it's just like an audience that's so caught up in their dream that they're not willing to like reconcile with the reality of the situation, which is that this would never happen and it's not a real thing. But I have to tell you, the fact that they had to like follow up with these artists and then they got like a poorly done video on like a secondary account is truly so ratchet.
There's one very funny quote here where apparently they were like, hey, did you listen to the song that I sang yet? And the official artist accounts, these are coming from like the official like checkmarked artist accounts on Instagram, sent back a video of like the game playing a video game with like this song in the background, like the back of his head.
That's so rude.
Like as if they were like, oh, this person's bothering me so much, we gotta send him a fucking video of you listening to this song. And he's like, all right. He's like playing GTA.
He's like not paying attention.
Like, just send this fucking video.
Exactly.
Yeah, not paying attention
that
at
is
all.
so rude.
It's really sad. I mean,
oh man,
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's, we talked about J-Lo's tour cancellation in our last episode. I do think that, like, on one hand, it's representative of, like, the poor state of the music industry for artists that are in this tier. And on the other hand, it's truly just, like, the depravity that people will go to try to make money and maintain their lifestyle.
You know what? I agree. I think it's crazy. I don't feel bad for those celebrities at all if they didn't have a bunch of money coming in. Fat Joe and Neo and I forget who else was named this, Nick Cannon. Yeah. Well, when you have 12 different child support payments you have to make a month as a multimillionaire, I bet your money does go out pretty quickly, so you probably are desperate for fundage. However, the other two, like, they were so popular and huge careers when we were young and, like, in high school. Like, don't be out there doing stupid shit like spending, $300,000 on a car or a gold chain and then be scamming, Joe Regular with a dream to like maintain your lifestyle. You made dumb decisions. I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for anybody that did this. I truly hope that this expose results in some kind of like scam prosecution.
Yeah,
or prosecution for conducting a scam.
Yeah.
If not for the artist, at least for this guy, DeBlock365, who, according to this Rolling Stone expose, has already been accused and prosecuted for specific running scams in the past. So,
you know what, Justin? It would have taken a simple Google for these artists to figure out who this guy was. They did this because they did not care. Flops.
If you want to read more about this, I'll put the link to the Rolling Stone expose in the show notes.
Just know that there's a paywall. That's why I didn't read it.
Listeners, if you're creative, you can find ways around the paywall. That's all I'll say. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, I want to talk about this item that I saw in the news, which really, really I find so deeply weird and funny, which is that Alec Baldwin and his wife Hilaria, who famously faked her Hispanic heritage, are having a reality TV show on TLC.
Geoff, I have to admit, I am not the reality TV expert on the pod here. You are. But this reeks to me of desperate for money because Alec Baldwin is famously facing prosecution for manslaughter.
Yeah, for killing Helena Hutchins on the set of that movie Rust that they were filming.
This is kind of dark to me.
Well,
I don't know.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
It is dark, but I'm trying to see the humor in this, which is that, like, Alec Baldwin is famously, like, an ornery person and difficult to work with, and just, like, generally, like, regarded in, like, Hollywood circles as, like, a unpleasant person. Like, you may remember years and years ago that there was an incident in which he left, like, a series of, like, really horrible voicemails he left to his daughter Ireland when he told her how fat she was and that she looked like a little pig and she was spoiled and stuff. Like, he just, like, has a reputation for being just a jackass. Did you see the video that he did? He did, like, an interview a couple months ago, or maybe a year ago now. It was, like, a sit-down tell-all to try to, like, get ahead of this impending court case.
The Rust stuff?
Yeah. And he was like,
yeah, I do remember seeing clips.
I think it might have been with George Stephanopoulos from ABC. I can't remember. But the interviewer was like, so did you pull the trigger? And he was like, no, I didn't pull it. I don't know how it happened. And the interviewer was just like not letting him off the hook. And they're like, so did somebody else pull the trigger while the gun was in your hand? And that's how it fired off? And he just like really doubled down saying that he did not do it. And I just like lost all remaining respect for him in that moment because I mean there were multiple failures that occurred on the set of that movie by all accounts, but the fact that he's now just like digging his heels in and being like, I'm innocent, I'm a victim, and all this too is like out of control.
I know, it's the way that he's been dealing with it. I mean, I can imagine that must be such a traumatic experience for everybody on the set of that film, right? And especially if you're somebody who, if there was an issue where the gun was erroneously loaded and then you're the person who pulled the trigger, like, that's got to be so horrible, you know? And for Alec Baldwin to just kind of coldly be like, I didn't even pull the trigger. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know what happened. It feels a little bit, you know, like...
It's tough.
Cold-blooded.
It's tough is what it is. How about this? Do we really need real guns anywhere? I mean, especially in a movie set? We don't need that. Loaded or unloaded, we don't need real guns.
I mean, you at least need somebody on set who is like qualified and experienced enough to be able to deal with the real guns.
Allegedly they had that, but apparently not.
But they failed. Yeah, I mean, I think that they've already been. I could be wrong, but I think they've already been convicted.
Yeah, I think that person was. But my point is, like, we don't need real guns on a set of a movie. Like, you can make fake ones that look just as great.
Right.
Like, Hollywood is like an industry of people who all they do is practical special effects and prop design. And, like, they're great at it. They're amazing. Like, they could absolutely make that happen. A fake gun look real. It's just wild to me that it was even something that occurred. But
the reality show.
The reality show is just... It's just so funny to me because I have no idea what this is going to be like. And I will absolutely watch at least an episode so that I can see the vibe. But, like, Alec Baldwin's, like, an old man. Like, I'm fairly certain he's, like, into his, like, early 70s at least. And he's already had, like, he has, like, adult children now. And now with his most current wife, Hilaria Baldwin, he has 7 kids. And they're all under 10 years old. I can't imagine having kids in 10 years from now and feeling like they have the energy for that. Never mind, like, when I'm 70 and already have, like, raised a crop of children once before.
I just feel like I can't imagine this reality show because I feel like it's just Alec and Hilaria being... Hilaria, as
she tried to convince people was.
Oh, my God.
I think it is so funny that she just, like, made up this, like, patently false statement that she, like, was a Latinx woman. And she, like, was on the cover of, like, some, like, Latina magazine and stuff. Like, she was really leaning into it hard, just, like, any way she could get attention and press. So bizarre. But she's, like, from fucking Boston.
I just can't imagine how the show is even going to be entertaining because I feel like...
Stressful.
You know, if I was in his position, you know, not only do I have, like, a dozen children, but I'm also facing manslaughter charges. Like, how am I going to put up a good face for this TV show? Like, this isn't like...
Especially when you're, like, notoriously, like, temperamental.
An asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine what it's going to be like. I think the vibes are going to be fully bad. I do not see their marriage lasting through this whole thing. I don't know how he comes back from this, and I don't know how he's ever taken seriously as an actor again.
I do kind of want to watch, like, one episode.
Yeah, we gotta
because
watch
I can imagine this being a train wreck. Yeah, like a funny train wreck to watch, you know, like they have like upbeat music for the family vibes, but then it's like Alec Baldwin is obviously dying inside, like his soul is withering.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping for that because at least that would be a little bit of Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
You know? But we'll see.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. To continue on the bad news train.
But wait, there's more. But wait, it gets worse.
There's always more bad news.
Maybe that should be the title of this episode. But wait, it gets worse.
Yeah, frequent Beyonce collaborator The Dream was recently accused of sexual assault. So, you know, we wouldn't have even brought this up, but we just had 2 episodes where we talked a lot about the new Beyonce album, Cowboy Carter.
On which The Dream was heavily featured.
Yeah. He wrote songs like Levi's Jeans, Yeah Yeah, songs that we both loved. Yeah, and it's just really unfortunate because these allegations, which seem very credible at this point, you know, there's not really any reason to doubt these claims at this point, came out, and yeah, it turns out people suck and are horrible. So I just wanted to shout that out, and I hope that Beyonce, you know, considers not working with him in the future on her future albums. Because, you know, it's not great that he will continue to get royalties from the songs that he's worked on, you know?
Dark.
We'll put a link if you want to know more details about the allegations, but I think we don't have to get into the details here.
Let's not.
Because we took such a long time with Cowboy Carter in our last 2 episodes, we're going to hopefully have a nice breezy episode this week.
We're starting off great with all this bad news.
Yeah, oh my God. But our main segment is going to be about Apple Music's 100 Best Albums.
It is.
Which we will talk about
right after the break.
After the break.
See you soon.
See you in a minute.
And we're back.
And better than ever.
Better than ever. Let's talk about this list that came out, Justin.
Yeah, so Apple Music a couple of weeks ago put out a 100 Best Albums of All Time list. So this was a collaboration between the editorial team at Apple Music and a bunch of artists that they asked to be a part of the selection process. These artists included people like Pharrell, J Balvin, Maren Morris, Charlie XCX was a part of it.
Love it.
And Maggie Rogers was also somebody who was involved, including people at Apple Music like Zane Lowe, who I think is like a notable radio personality.
Yeah, definitely. He's a great interviewer, too.
He is. And they developed this list, which we'll put in the show notes, not based on any streaming statistics or anything like that. It's strictly just through, I think, quality, like perceived quality of the albums. So before we get into this list, Geoff, do you have any like thoughts or experiences with previous best of lists that you've like interacted with, or are you mostly kind of like outside of that realm of critical analysis?
I generally just like don't pay that much attention to them because I think that they're usually crappy. Especially Rolling Stone put out a list of like best vocalists. I think it was like best. It was either like best vocalist or best female vocalist. And Celine Dion, nowhere to be found. What's that about? Who made that decision? Who got paid to compile this list and said, oh, we don't need Celine Dion on here. She's a voice of a generation.
Yeah, the 200 greatest singers of all time was what Rolling Stone put out. That came out in 2023.
No Queen Celine. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I do have thoughts on lists, and I generally think they're kind of stupid. So, like,
I think they're often pay to play.
Perhaps they are. But even if they aren't, right? These are lists where they seek to be like authoritative, where it's like, these are the objective best albums of all time. Especially when they have like a panel of folks choosing the albums, right?
In inherently subjective art form.
Exactly, it's inherently subjective. This isn't like the most influential albums of all time,
right.
Which I think might be more interesting, where it's like, here's some albums that started trends or originated genres or something.
Justin, will you peep in my notes? Because this is something that I wanted to say at the end of our discussion about this. I think that would make a much more compelling and interesting compilation.
I did not look at your notes, but I'm glad that we agree on that, because
2Ps.
I do think that, I think that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to be like, this is my personal favorite albums, right? Yeah. I think that's a more accurate and like honest way to do this. For my many Instagram followers, and by many I mean like 200.
Even that's a stretch, but okay.
I put out like my 10 favorite songs of the year every year at the end of the year.
Well, you and our good friend Barack Obama have that in common.
We do. And I like that Obama does this, and me, of course, because, it's inherently subjective, and you're making the subjective like front and center, the subjectivity front and center, right?
That just reminded me, Colleen sent me a link to a t-shirt that she saw on Instagram the other day, and it said, I couldn't agree with myself more.
You're so right,
like, you need this. I said, you're not wrong.
But yeah, so I think that's just like a more honest way of doing it, as opposed to what Apple Music and Rolling Stone have done in the past, right? Which is like, these are objectively the best albums. And I think like Rolling Stone might have a little bit more of a hill to stand on, or whatever that phrase is, because they've been around since the origins of like the modern music industry. Yeah. They understand what's been around since the beginning. They have a lot of people and reporters who have been around since the beginning, even though, they've since been bought up by venture capital. See Media Apocalypse episode of Search Engine that I referenced a couple episodes ago. But they do have like a little bit of history in the field, whereas Apple Music is like really new, and this does feel like a grab for legitimacy.
Oh yeah, there's just like a young whippersnapper trying to get their own spot.
Right. And Rolling Stone, because of that, I think had a huge bias towards artists in the 60s and 70s. So like if you look at their list of best albums, it's like almost all artists from that era, especially classic rock artists. You know, they would kill people over the Beatles. They have like I don't even want to know how many Beatles albums are on that list. On this Apple Music list, there's 2 Beatles albums, which I think is like relatively conservative. I think the Beatles are, this is a hot take, they're, I think, a little bit overrated in general. Like
Finally, someone agrees with me.
They're great artists, very influential in rock music and pop music.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like, genius work that they did. However, the cult around them, it's akin to the Taylor Swift of it all.
Yeah. I mean, there are similarities. I think that the Beatles were more interesting, especially in their later catalog.
They were much more
experimented a lot more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they changed the way that pop music sounds, for sure, forever. And I don't think there's, like, a pop artist today who has not been influenced by their art, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, I agree.
That said,
I do think that they are maybe a tiny bit overrated, especially by institutions like Rolling Stone, who highly value that era of music history.
You know, I had a rule when I was, like, doing all the dating apps. If they had the Beatles listed as their favorite artist, instantly no. We're not doing that.
It's just boring. Like,
exactly.
we all love certain Beatles songs, but like saying the Beatles are your favorite artist is like even worse than saying The Office is your favorite show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So much worse.
Yes, I agree.
It's like you literally couldn't come up with one other artist.
It's like the modern day equivalent of that now is like Taylor Swift. It's like only pick something safe that everybody likes.
And I just want to, okay, 2 qualifiers before we get into really discussing this list.
Yeah.
First qualifier, and this is, I can only speak for myself, but I have listened to probably, at best, 1/3 of the albums on this list.
Oh, same. 100%.
Like, I haven't listened to all of them. I don't pretend, I'm a wannabe music critic. I don't pretend to be a legitimate music critic. So I'm just putting that out there straight up. And then second is that I am a fan of Taylor Swift.
Wow, you're just doing this to save your skin. You just don't want the Taylor Swift people to come after you, the Swifties.
You know, I do feel that way, but also I do feel strongly about her placement on this list. So let's just deal with the elephant in the room right away. Okay. Because Taylor Swift's album, 1989, and not the original version. Taylor's version is listed number 18, the 18th best album of all time on this list. Which, okay, let me tell you, just give you a couple examples of albums that are below her on the list, okay? Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, one of the most influential pop albums ever made, is 2 spots below her. Revolver, arguably the best Beatles album, 3 spots below Taylor Swift. Okay?
Yep.
Kid A by Radiohead, number 34, below Taylor Swift. Like, I could go on and on. There's so many better albums that are below the Taylor Swift album. And I have so many takes about this. Like,
well, let's hear them.
The Taylor's version of this album came out in 2023. You should not be allowed to have an album on this list that is less than 10 years old. Like, it just hasn't settled. You know what I mean? I understand that Apple Music is trying to get the youths interested in this list. They're like, look, we have Billie Eilish on here. We're
really
cool. Hello, fellow
kids.
They're like, we're cool, I promise. But like, I feel like an album really hasn't settled into pop music history until it's been around for a little bit. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell what the actual impact of an album is until it's been around for a bit.
I get what you're saying. I think that like an album from 2023, I'm going to say that's going to be a hard pass for me to be on this list. I think like, for instance, Beyonce's Self-Titled is on this list, and that was put out in, what was that?
2013. So that's over 10 years ago.
Lemonade is also on this list, and that was 2016. Which has only been 8 years.
Okay, I could get behind 5 years.
Yeah, I think
5-year moratorium.
5 years would be good.
Because it's just like, how are we supposed to know the general reception of this album in the long term unless it's been around and sat with people for a long time? So that's my first issue with the placement of that album.
Okay, I agree with you.
My other issue is this isn't even the best Taylor Swift album.
What do you think is the best Taylor Swift album? Because I do think 1989 is her best album.
This is where we get into subjectivity a little bit. You can say, what's the best album versus what's my personal favorite album? This is that critic brain versus lizard brain.
Okay, but if we're going to talk about this, we have to agree on what the standard is here.
So I'm saying, because this album or this list is trying to be authoritative, I'm talking best objectively. Okay. As objective as you can be.
So as objective as you can be, what is the best Taylor Swift song or album?
Folklore. and it's not close because there's a thematic consistency with Folklore. She was being more experimental on that album than she has with any of her previous albums, which I think are mostly straightforward pop country albums. Yeah, it's just a more interesting album than 1989. I mean, 1989 there are bad songs on 1989. Like Shake It Off, not her best. Oh yeah,
that's a bad song.
Not her best. There are good songs. I think it's definitely...
How about Style?
Style's a good song,
I think.
Yeah. Blank Space, one of her better lead singles.
22?
22 was on Red.
It was? Oh,
yes.
Shit. Maybe Red's the best Taylor Swift album.
Red also had All Too Well, which is, I think, what people
I like that one.
generally believe is the best Taylor Swift song. But yeah, the other thing that's confusing about this is that the Taylor's version album has a bunch of extra stuff tagged on to the end.
Yeah.
Which I think is really kind of a political issue because Apple Music doesn't want to be promoting the original Big Machine owned masters of 1989, which, there was famously a huge conflict between Taylor Swift and Big Machine over the rights to the masters, which is why she re-recorded it for the 2023 release. But yeah, I just don't think this is the best Taylor Swift album. Okay. I think that there's ways that they could have sidestepped this, which is just do Folklore, which I think is a better album. And Taylor has always owned the rights to those masters. Apple doesn't have to worry about the political problems there.
I want to say I have a couple of highlights back at the start of the list. If we're starting, at the highest number, 100.
Yeah, starting at number 100. I think let's save the talk for the top 10 until the end, if we can.
Yes, I would like to do that as well. Somewhat chronologically, though. We're not going to go album by album because that's way too much. But I was thrilled to see Body Talk by Robin make the list. I think that's like one of the best EDM records that has been put out in like the last 25 years. I think Robin is like vastly underrated. People forget she's been in the game for so long. She's been around since like the early and mid 90s. She recorded a couple of like Billboard top 10 hits in the 90s called Show Me Love, and what was the other one?
Dancing on My Own?
No, that was later. But that was actually from the Body Talk album. But that was great. That was like that album was like the soundtrack of like my college experience.
Because I don't want to be completely negative about this list, I think that there are good things that are on this list. I think that other institutions like Rolling Stone tended to overvalue older music and undervalue newer music, right? In this one, there's a lot of hip hop, which I think is great and isn't really represented in Rolling Stone. So, you've got stuff like NWA represented on here. The 50 Cent album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', which I think is truly like iconic of that era of hip hop.
What about Confessions? Usher. Great album.
Yes, Usher is on here. So there's a lot of like excellent choices here from the hip hop angle. And there are they're not afraid to put out there newer albums on here. SOS by SZA is on here, which I think is a little bit questionable because it's so new. I don't know that it's really settled in completely. Yeah. But I think that is a little bit nice to see them giving some recognition to those artists who are a little bit younger and newer.
So the Fame Monster by Lady Gaga, I was thrilled to see that make the list. I think that was extremely influential.
Yeah. Do you think that's the best Lady Gaga album?
Yeah. I think without question it is.
Yeah, I would agree.
Although I do say Justice for Art Pop, which was an excellent album that was really overlooked.
Underrated.
Time.
Yeah.
But that's for another pod.
And then Chromatica also came out during the pandemic in that future nostalgia vein of, unfortunately missed opportunities because of the pandemic.
Yeah, Chromatica was great. I got to watch the Lady Gaga Chromatica Ball just dropped on HBO a few weeks ago, and I haven't gotten to watch it yet, so that might be my Saturday night viewing. I'm a sucker for a concert film. Oh, okay. Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves. I love that album. I was shocked to see her on the list just because it is more recent, but really an excellent record.
Can we actually talk? Okay, I love Golden Hour. I love Casey Musgraves. I shouted her out during one of the Beyonce episodes because she's one of the country artists recently that I've been into. Mm-hmm. But I think she's the only country artist represented on this list, which is actually wild. She? There's no Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
There's no Johnny Cash. If I have one overall critique, it's that it feels like this list is written by a bunch of people who are like trying to seem cool in today's music landscape.
That's exactly how it was written and whom it was written by. That's absolutely what Apple Music is trying to do.
Right. To seem like edgy and cool. Yeah. Because there's not a lot of country. There's not a lot of punk music represented.
How much great punk music is there?
How dare you?
I'm asking.
Punk was like a movement, but I think it's just
they have the Clash on there.
Yeah, that's like one of the 2 punk albums
but
they
it's
have
towards
on
the
here.
top. I think punk is perfectly well represented on this list. I'll say that.
Here's my criticism. I think that they were really heavily recency biased. They have a lot of newer albums on here, and their choices are heavily biased by what genres are in right now.
Yes.
Like, people aren't really making punk music right now. So it's not really in the discussion. Younger artists probably aren't thinking or listening to a lot of punk music. And thus, the people who constructed this list didn't put a lot of that genre on the list.
Wait, also, isn't Massive Attack on here? I thought I saw Massive Attack had an album on here. They're punk.
They do have an album on there. No, they're not punk.
Aren't they?
I would say they're electronic.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely like electronic music. And then Daft Punk also has an album. But a lot of those older albums from other genres seem just like token choices.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no like out there choices from like an electronic group where you're like, oh, I've never heard of them. It's like Daft Punk Discovery, which I think everybody would agree. Great album. One More Time. One of the best songs ever written.
I don't know that a lot of people would agree with that.
You don't think Daft Punk Discovery is one of the top 100 albums ever?
I mean, I think it's great. I just don't think a lot of people would agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that. I think Daft Punk is at least probably the most influential electronic acts ever.
I don't think you get what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'm just saying I don't think that is an opinion shared by the public.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like, who are we talking about here?
That's why I hate lists. That's why I hate lists like this, because it's like, who is this for and what's the purpose? Because this was made with an agenda, and it's just what you said, to be relevant to like the youths and to like try to seem like cool. Like, Apple Music is a great alternative to Spotify for your streaming needs.
Well, I don't think necessarily. Okay, based on the artists that they asked to be involved in this process, right? Somebody like Charlie, right, who we love. I don't think Charlie is cynically trying to be like, let's be cool for the youths.
No, I just think she is a tastemaker who is cool.
That's exactly what I'm saying. She's cool. She has taste.
I'm not criticizing the artist. I'm criticizing Apple doing this because it was done like purely for the press and to get people onto Apple Music and to like make the appeal broader.
Obviously, the editorial intent, coming down from the CEO of Apple or whoever runs Apple Music, is we need people to get streaming on Apple Music, and we want people talking about this, which, you're welcome, Apple. Waiting for the check any day.
Any day.
I'm saying, like, that doesn't change the fact that the artists who are involved in this are, I think, genuinely giving their opinions. I don't think that they are behaving cynically.
No one's saying that they're not.
You were just saying that the choices here reflect the cynicism of the intent by Apple.
Yes, because
I don't think they completely do.
I think they do, because they intentionally put together a group of people who they already know what their taste is like. They know what kind of music Charlie XCX likes. They know what kind of music these other people that they put on this panel like, and they knew kind of what they were going to end up with, I'm sure.
So do you have a problem with their choices and the artists then?
I have a problem with these lists in general, because I think that like we already talked about, music is just so subjective, and this is saying like the top, they're the 100 best albums, but it's not giving any kind of further qualifiers to that. And it's like not saying these are the most influential or these are the most foundational. It's just saying these are the best. But what does the best mean? The best to whom?
Right, I mean, we're agreeing. The point is that I think that the recency bias comes from the fact that, like you and me, many of the artists on here, Maggie Rogers, Charlie XCX, they grew up during an era where they weren't listening to a lot of older music, right? They only know the older albums that we all know, like, the Pink Floyd album that's on here. What is it? Dark Side of the Moon. They know Abbey Road, Thriller. We all know these albums because they're like iconic in the music zeitgeist, right? There's no like deep cuts from that era. Where the deep cuts come in are in the newer albums, right? The ones that we experience like in our actual lives, just like the artists that chose these albums, right? So that's all that I'm saying, is that I don't think that they were intentionally trying to be like edgy or intentionally trying to be like, we need to have some newer albums in here. I just think that it's because of the artists that they chose to make this list,
Yes, which they did strategically. Okay.
Right, which Apple did strategically,
yes. Okay.
But that's distinct from the artist choosing the albums cynically.
Where the fuck are we on this godforsaken list? I think the last thing I said was Golden Hour.
Right, because I was talking about how it seems like nobody who they chose listens to any fucking country music, because this is the only country album on the entire list.
I'm okay with that.
No Dolly Parton.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
I couldn't name you a Dolly Parton album. I know Jolene.
Right. I mean, I agree with you, but I feel like if we're trying to make an authoritative list, we should have at least a couple people who know country music.
But this is what I'm
you know?
saying. This list was not created to be like this list was created to get people reading it and to get people to listen to the albums on Apple Music, because they're like, you could go through the list on Apple Music and scroll, and then immediately the album could start playing.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying this list is bad in this way.
Yeah, I agree with
it's
you
like,
completely. I think it's flop.
Why are you pretending this is objective when it's not?
Yeah,
you know?
it's not. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, great album by Elton John. Was thrilled to see that on there. I thought this was a fun pick. Super Duper Fly by Missy Elliott, which was like her debut album. It was produced and recorded by Timbaland. He was the only producer on the entire album, so he really like shaped her sound quite a bit. And Missy Elliott in 1997 was like relatively unknown. She is from the same town that like my family is from, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And my aunt, I believe my Aunt Frances said that she was in her class because she was a classroom teacher. I think we have some weird family connection there. I have to ask my cousin Tamra.
That's a great example of like a slightly deeper cut, right?
I don't think a lot of people know that album.
And it's also like the increased representation of rap music and hip hop music on this list compared to like Rolling Stone.
Totally. Who could forget the iconic title track? Beep beep.
A banger.
Who's got the keys to my Jeep? Vroom. Great line.
I liked the Rihanna choice on this list.
Auntie is a great album.
And I would agree the best Rihanna album.
I agree too.
Yeah.
Also 2016. Only 8 years.
Right, and another one where it's like that's the trendy choice, but again, it's a newer album.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you look at the top ranked Beatles album, it's like, oh, this is just like the consensus best Beatles album, Abbey Road. Like everybody agrees that's probably the best Beatles album. Or Purple Rain from Prince, right?
Yeah.
Generally considered the best albums from those artists. But when you come down to the newer artists, you see some more interesting choices. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Hounds of Love was on there, which is Kate Bush's album. It was right in the middle of this list at 50.
I feel like that should have been a little bit higher. Am I crazy in thinking that? Like, Take Care, Drake's album Take Care is listed higher than Hounds of Love.
Yeah, no,
which maybe
I don't think that you're crazy for thinking that at all. Running Up That Hill is a great song, which I have to say I liked before it was popular on Stranger Things. As, you know, as a true gay, I was a Kate Bush fan early on.
Very hipster of you.
All right, so around the middle of this list, what were some standouts for you? I mean, you did just mention Take Care.
Yeah, I think Take Care, this might also be some recency bias. We talked about Drake, Kendrick earlier. Take Care is influential, but not, I don't know if it belongs on this list. It wasn't even that influential. Like The Weeknd's House of Balloons album was really the album that influenced Take Care. The Weeknd isn't anywhere to be found on this list. Not that I think it should be on this list, but I feel like Take Care, if it belongs on this list, then The Weeknd should take his place. You know, like that's essentially did the same thing, which was like this sad boy kind of like drugged out hip hop music, you know?
I think The Weeknd is more influential as an artist than Drake is, but I think that Drake's persona and his culture around him overshadows The Weeknd.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of albums on this list where they were like, well, we got to have a blank album on here. So which one are we choosing?
Like what?
You know?
What are you thinking about specifically?
Great example. I mean, I'm trying not to go up into the top albums here, but I guess I will for this. Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Good Kid, Mad City is chosen as number 7 on the list.
Right.
I think Good Kid, Mad City is a great album. I think that To Pimp a Butterfly is a better album.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Even if you think that Good Kid, Mad City belongs in that top 10, I still think that To Pimp a Butterfly belongs on this list, you know?
Sure.
Like, it should still be somewhere on here. It does seem like they were like, well, we're picking Good Kid, Mad City, so we're cutting To Pimp a Butterfly. And it's very rare that there's artists with multiple albums on here. So the most albums that any artist has is 2.
Yep.
And the artists that have those are the Beatles, which I think, okay, I'll allow it. Prince,
yep.
Sure. Stevie Wonder, also sure. Beyonce,
yep.
You got Beyonce and Lemonade on here. Radiohead, sure. And then you've got Dr. Dre, who he has one solo album and one as a part of NWA.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
They're all pretty influential artists. So it feels like they were like, well, let's try our hardest to not have artists with 2 albums on this list. Like, unless they're like the Beatles, basically.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan is an artist that I think only has 1 album on this list, even though I think critically a lot of people consider him to be like one of the best artists of all time.
He's one of those people that I just never really got into.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a blind spot for me. I noticed on here there were a couple of blind spots for me, which I would have to say, like Radiohead, not super familiar with their work. Not familiar with Bjork, really. I know a few of her songs. I recognize the visuals from her album on here, which is Homogenic.
This is a blind spot for me, too. I
remember the
know.
art from it. It's extremely striking, and I remember seeing this when I was young, but I didn't listen to Bjork, really. So there's a couple of blind spots that I have on here where I'm like, truly, like, I don't know if I know any of their music. Even Stevie Wonder, like, I know, like, his hits, but I wouldn't say that, like, I know his music. And he's on here twice.
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, yeah. Which I think is, like, generally considered one of the best albums of all time.
Yes, I think it is.
Number 17, right above 1989, parentheses, Taylor's version.
You're mad about it.
Like, I really just think that they should have chosen a different Taylor album, maybe put her a little bit lower on the list. And I think a lot of this would have been solved by just saying, like, we're not considering albums that are less than 5 years old or 10 years old.
Yep.
Like, because maybe 20 years from now, we'll look back at 1989 Taylor's version and we'll be like, you know what? This was an all-timer. But I think right now it's cheap. The list is cheapened by, choices like that.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like they're just saying, like, well, everybody likes Taylor Swift now, so we're putting her on here. Another one that's like that, which, we've talked about how we love Billie Eilish, but she's not necessarily, music that we listen to all the time. We don't personally like her that much. When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go is number 30 on this list.
Yeah, above Jagged Little Pill, which I think is criminal.
Above London Calling from The Clash, one of the few punk albums on this list.
Above Beyonce Self-Titled.
That's a little bit suspicious to me. There's a little bit of an influential argument to be made here. Because as we discussed in the episode where we talked about her new album, I think she is like maybe the first like true Gen Z superstar. I'll be curious to see how that album ages over time.
There's an album on here that I think needs to be way higher on the list if we're doing like most influential or most important, if that's how we're calling it the best. Control by Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
That really changed the game because it was like one of the first fusions that was like mainstream of like, I would say like R&B, rap, pop, hip hop, and even like some funk and disco sounds. I would say that there are beats on it that are like that New Jack Swing era of like 90s hip hop music, but this was produced like in the mid 80s. So like it was ahead of its time in that way too. Even the graphic styling of the album, I don't know if you can pull up a photo of it, but it's like one of the most iconic album covers I've ever seen. I always remember it.
I know the album cover,
it's a red it's a red field with Janet Jackson with like huge hair and like very 1980s looking Dynasty power suit on. And then she has like almost photoshopped over it is like hand squiggly gold colored like squiggle drawing lines outlining her that give the album or that give the cover and that particular photo of her so much energy and movement that I think like really lends itself well to like the music that you hear on the album. So
it's emblematic of the 80s to me.
Yeah.
Like I think of this album artwork when I think of like what's an iconic 80s aesthetic, you know?
Yeah, I think that one deserves to be much higher up. Nasty, The Pleasure Principle, When I Think of You. I mean, these are like truly iconic songs that I think really influenced pop music and R&B music and hip hop forever. And so I think that this deserves to be much higher on this list if it wants to be taken seriously.
All right, I think we've done enough discussion of the bottom of the list. Let's talk top 10.
Okay.
And see if we have any issues with these top 10. So,
wait, one thing I did want to say quickly is I was really pleased to see, like, even though it was like only in like the high 80s, I think it was number 89. I clicked off the list, but it was A Seat at the Table by Solange. Such an incredible album. I was thrilled to see it on there. I think that she's one of those artists who produced music that was way ahead of their time. And I think like if she released that album today, it would be a mainstream success, which it wasn't.
Yeah, that's looks like it's number 93 on the list here. Okay, and while we're talking low albums, one more, and this seems to be one of those one album per artist things. They chose Lord Pure Heroin on here, which I think is a good album. I like Lord. I'm a fan, but I think that
yeah. Lord.
Melodrama is easily the best Lord album, and it's not close. Like, I think Melodrama is significantly better than Pure Heroin.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna put a Lord album on here, you also could just scrap any Lord album and just put literally anybody else. The Who isn't on here, for example.
Oh, that is actually kind of crazy that the Who's not on here. That is one group that I do know some of their music,
and I feel like are like one of the iconic progressive rock acts. So
I agree.
Weird to see them not on the list represented. Okay. Let's get to the top 10. I will list the top 10 in order, and then you can just give your thoughts.
Okay.
Any takes, any snubs, any people you think don't deserve to be
there.
there.
You're going to name, then you want me to react, or you're going to name, and then we're going to react?
I'll do all 10, and then we'll both react. Okay, so number 1 is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by, of course, Lauryn Hill. Number 2 is Thriller by Michael Jackson. Number 3 is Abbey Road by the Beatles. Number 4 is Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. Number 5 is Blonde by Frank Ocean. Number 6 is Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. Number 7 is Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. Number 8 is Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. Number 9 is Nevermind by Nirvana. And number 10 is Lemonade by Beyonce. Thoughts?
I don't have a problem with anything in the top 10. I think that it's a good top 10. Lemonade.
I do think they focused on the top 10. Yeah. They were like, we need to make sure that this is a tasteful top 10 that nobody will have problems with. They didn't put 1989 in the top 10, which I think would have caused, riots on Reddit or whatever.
Lemonade is a great album, one of my favorites of all time. Nevermind is also an excellent album of Nirvana's 3 albums. That's my favorite of theirs. Back to Black, just a masterpiece. No skips. Amy Winehouse's sound on that album, I think, is something that was completely new and unique, but also nostalgic. It we hadn't had a mainstream artist kind of go back to a big band sort of aesthetic or sound in a long time, or jazz sound. And Amy Winehouse was able to do that, but to make it modern. So I love that album. Love Amy. Wish she was still with us.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those are the bottom, those 8, 9, and 10. So, yeah, I would agree with that. Amy Winehouse, I've listened to Back to Black a couple times. I'm not an expert, but I liked the album. I think it's that's one of those ones where it's listen, I understand the critical consensus on this is wildly positive, right? I may not be somebody who's that's one of my favorite albums of all time, but I understand that generally it's considered such, right? I've already talked a little bit about Good Kid, Mad City and that choice. I think that To Pimp a Butterfly belongs on here.
Right.
Blonde by Frank Ocean is an interesting one. So I love that album, and I would say that that's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
But it's the newest album in the top 10. And it's borderline a little bit too new for me to think that it belongs up here with these top 10 albums.
But you think that Lemonade, which was released the same year, is worthy?
Oh, yeah. Well, Lemonade is a little bit lower. So Blonde is number 5.
Okay.
Lemonade at number 10 almost feels that feels more reasonable for a new album like
that.
And Beyonce has a bit more of a cultural footprint than Frank Ocean.
A bit?
Right? Yeah, to put it mildly. I think that Frank Ocean, among the heads, people fucking love Frank Ocean, but if you were to ask people on the street who Frank Ocean is, maybe half of people you ask wouldn't know who he is.
I think fewer than that.
Yeah. So that's why I think, this is one of those a little bit edgy choices that I think Apple made, or the artist that Apple chose made in the newer albums, right? The recency bias effect. But yeah, what do you think? Have you listened to much Frank Ocean?
No.
What's your opinion on the album?
No, I don't really know very much about it. I don't really know that album super well. I just remember the only thing I really remember about Frank Ocean is that he was selling a $20,000 cock ring as part of the promo for this album. That's all that I remember, and I was like, this is insane.
The album is really great. I highly recommend you listen to it because it's so good. It's a beautiful album. We were talking about how Cowboy Carter is a bit of you have to buy into it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not
I know it's a little bit of an avant-garde album.
Yeah. Yeah. but it has like pop value as well. Like it's not completely unlistenable, unless you're a super critic or whatever.
Yeah.
It has a lot of great songs on it.
I do have to wonder if part of the reason Blonde is on this list so high is that Pharrell was one of the main producers of this album and was also on the selection committee for the top 100 albums.
I mean, Pharrell, it's hard to overstate his influence on a certain era of hip-hop music.
Yeah.
Like the Neptunes, I don't even know how many songs they produce. He's obviously one of the Neptunes.
Neptunes so much.
Who even knows how much influence he had on this? Because a lot of the hip-hop albums on here, he's been involved with Beyonce albums. He's been involved with a lot of those hip-hop albums in the 2000s. So, yeah, maybe he had an outsized influence on this list. If I were making the list myself, I think Blonde belongs this high, but I feel insecure about that choice. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
This is where that subjective versus objective thing comes back into play.
Yeah.
And then I think that, like, Thriller, hard to argue with that. Abbey Road, hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Purple Rain, same. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, I think, is an interesting choice for number 1.
Yeah, I fully expected it to be top 10, but I was a little bit surprised that it was number 1 myself.
Yeah, it feels like a choice. Like they were like, we are putting this up there. It's underrated, even though it's already very highly rated.
Yeah, I would say that she's probably one of the greatest rappers of all time, and she's definitely one of the most influential musicians. Like, she really made female rap a thing, I would say, like from her time in the Fugees, but then like the commercial and critical triumph of this album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I was a little surprised that it was number 1. This I do think comes back to like me thinking like, there's a little bit of like, I don't know, pandering or attention-seeking behavior in this list to like make her number 1, because I think like a lot of people would argue Abbey Road or Thriller or Purple Rain even all could easily be number 1 over this album.
Or What's Going On? Like that's what there's some weird choices. If you look at the top 10 in isolation, like I said, it's very tasteful, and I think maybe you'd be like, oh, that's an interesting choice with Miseducation at the top.
Well, I said at first that I was like not mad about anything that's in the top 10, but I actually think that I do need to replace Blonde in the top 10 and Frank Ocean. Oh. Like, it's shocking to me that Fleetwood Mac and Rumors are not in the top 10. Like, it's in 11, so it's, like, rarely missed. I don't know, but now I'm also looking down and I'm like, The Blueprint wasn't in the top 10? Like, Jay-Z? I don't know about that.
Yeah, you can nitpick any list to death. You know what I mean? And it's just hard when you are trying to make an authoritative list because there's always going to be choices that are weird. I think it's better to look at like the overall trends of a list. So like with this one, you see a lot of recency bias. I think that there's maybe a little bit of an overcorrection there from what like other institutions like Rolling Stone were doing, right? Yeah. Where they focus a lot on older music. And I appreciate that they were trying to do that and correct for that. But I think maybe they went a little bit too much in that direction here. Do you have any overall thoughts on the list that you want to close with?
No, not really.
Lists like this are designed to cause discussion, right? Which is why we are discussing it now, why it does make an interesting discussion point. I think it's stupid to think of any list as like an authoritative list.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is inherently subjective, and like Geoff said earlier, it might be more interesting to talk about the most influential albums of all time more than like the best objective albums of all time. I do think that the strengths of this particular list are that they have a lot of hip hop and rap representation, which other lists don't have. If we look at the stats here, looking at the Wikipedia page, hip hop has the highest number of albums by genre of any other genre. They have 21 albums on the list, as opposed to rock, which has 18. Yeah. So that's a nice change of pace. It's great.
Sure.
But I do think that if we're talking critical consensus, there's a lot of albums that I think are lacking here. And I think that a lot of other genres are not represented, like country, punk music, like I mentioned.
Yeah, you were right. The only country album was Casey Musgraves.
So that's a little tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
But I think this list does have some value. The reason why I was pushing you earlier about the cynicism of the list is that I don't think it's completely without value. I think that there is some good here, and I don't think it was completely cynically manufactured or a stunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that there are artists that are involved that did care about their choices here. All right, well, I think that closes our discussion of the Apple Music 100 Best Albums list. let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with What's Good.
Okie dokie.
Be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
Geoff?
Yes.
It's been a podcast.
It has been.
And I'm here to ask you, finally, after all this time, we've had a few minutes of discussion about albums, hot topics, Alec Baldwin.
We sure have.
So, Geoff, what's good? Was that good enough? Was that up to your standards?
Effort. I loved it. This was wonderful. Okay. What's good is my Nespresso Virtuo machine. This thing has changed my life. Everybody, if you're a coffee drinker, if you like to make your coffee at home, if you're participating in the Starbucks boycott, it is imperative to your well-being and mental clarity that you get your butt down to Target, down to a Best Buy, perhaps to, I don't know, a Walmart even. Maybe even you find one on Facebook Marketplace. But you need to get yourself one of the Nespresso Virtuo machines. This thing does it all. It froths your milk. You can refill your own espresso pods. You can buy your espresso pods. It makes the perfect steamy, creamy cup of espresso. Sabrina Carpenter. It is a huge delight. I think everyone needs to own one if you love coffee drinking. So what's good is having one of these.
Okay, I feel the need to specify that that was not an ad.
It was my ad. It was my letter of recommendation.
But Nespresso is not paying Geoff for this
They should be. Let's change that.
Nespresso, send us a message.
We're waiting, honey.
BantsPod@gmail.com. This espresso machine has everything. SNL.
Point for you.
Hey, finally.
I know. Up your game. Point for me.
Yeah, I'm a French press boy myself.
You know what? You can go. I want you to, that door that's right behind you in the shot, you want you to take off your headphones, set them down on your desk, and you sashay away.
All right, well, I respect your Nespresso choice. How much? What's the MSRP for this?
Well, I will say, listeners dear, they're not cheap machines. I think the one that I got is valued at $179.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not terrible. And I got the milk frother, which is like an additional $80 accessory thing. But I did find it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was gently used by this man who was so sweet. He was like probably like 24, and he was like, yeah, I bought this for my girlfriend. I thought she was really gonna like it, but I'm selling it now. And I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, no, was there anything wrong with it? And he was like, no, I spent a lot of money on this, and I just really thought my girlfriend was gonna like it. I felt so bad for him. Like, he wanted me to know that he purchased it for his girlfriend and she didn't like it. Like, I think he wanted sympathy.
You were like, yes, you know what? This espresso machine is great, and she should respect you more. Also, here's my number.
Leave her. You deserve better. I'd appreciate your gifts. But yeah, it's not like a cheap thing, but if you think about how often you pay for, and I'm talking specialty coffees, I'm not saying like those who go through the McDonald's drive-through line on their way to work to pick up a cup of Newman's Own blend.
Or 7-Eleven.
Or 7-Eleven $1 coffee. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who go to fucking $5. That's what that store name should be called. And are spending between $5 and $7 on one hot, steamy espresso-based drink. This will pay for itself if you do that every day for like 3 weeks. You basically have the base model of this machine.
Yeah, you know, I totally second this recommendation, because if you make coffee at home, you can save so much money. Not to be a boomer, you're not suddenly gonna be able to like rise in social class, but maybe you have a few more dollars to spend on like an album or some form of media that you want to support, you know?
That's true. or a concert you wish to go to.
Exactly.
Or travel to Mexico at an all-inclusive resort with your friends for New Year's Eve.
This feels targeted.
It is targeted. We'll talk about it off the pod. So yeah, I think you guys should all consider investing in one if you don't have one already. But now that I've made my recommendation, seconded by Justin, another point for me, I've got to ask the question to my dear business partner.
Damn.
Friend.
That's all? Okay, there we go.
Former colleague. Justin?
Yes?
What's good?
Geoff, today is the day on the pod where I out myself as a gamer because I'm going to recommend a video game.
Okay.
So
thought that was going in a different direction.
Can you imagine if I announced that on a podcast? Okay, anyways.
Today I out myself as a gay. We just cut off the mer part and we put it out.
Yeah, that's a cold open. Queer baiting at its finest.
Yep. Happy Pride.
No. I'm outing myself as a gamer.
It's no worse than what Capital One is doing.
Yeah, talk about it. But no, sadly, listeners, I am outing myself as a gamer. I'm here to recommend a video game. The video game is called Animal Well. Don't laugh, it's a good game.
Okay.
Okay, Geoff, let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the term Metroidvania?
Is that like a portmanteau of Metroid and Castlevania?
Geoff, that's exactly right. You are a gamer. Geoff and I play Smash pretty often.
Yeah, I would say I'm a gamer light.
Yes. Gamer lowercase g. But yeah, so it's a genre of game. It's like a 2D side scroller where, you know,
oh, I love
it's like an open world. So it's based on the Metroid series of games and the Castlevania series of games. And you can it's non-linear. So you can go around the world however you want. But usually there's paths that are kind of closed off to you. And in the process of exploring the world, you find upgrades that allows you to explore those closed off paths, right? So in Metroid, for example, you might be able to unlock the morph ball, so Samus can become like a little ball and go into spaces that she couldn't fit into before, right? So that's a whole genre of game that I'm a huge fan of. I love those types of games. Animal Well is a Metroidvania, but it's one of the better Metroidvanias that I've played in recent memory. So let me try to explain why. It's a newer game. It's available on Nintendo Switch and other platforms. I'm playing it on Switch, and I think a problem that a lot of games have right now is that they'll over-explain things, right? You start the game and it's
kind of like you.
Yeah, I have the same problem as modern gaming. But a lot of games will like start you off and it's like, here's how you move. You press on the D-pad.
Oh yeah,
and it's
I
like,
hate that.
Okay, I already know that.
Right.
I'm kind of bored already. I kind of just want to play the game.
Yep.
And then it'll be like, you get an item and it's like, this is a double jump item. Here's how you double jump, right? And that stuff is like maybe fine in certain scenarios, but it slows down the pace. Animal Well is great because it just sets you off in this world, explains absolutely nothing, and it gives you items that are not like immediately understandable, right? So if you're playing a Metroid game, you kind of know what the morph ball does, right? There's these kind of gaming conventions that you learn and you understand, right? If you get a double jump effect, you know what a double jump is, right? Animal Well is different because it'll give you like a yo-yo, and you're like, all right, what does this do? And you have to like, it's a sense of play to use that item and understand what it does to kind of like open up more paths for you. Like it's not immediately obvious. And for that reason, it's hard to talk about the game because a huge portion of the game is that sense of discovery.
Learning and growing.
Exactly. It's literally learning. I mean, this is what makes video games, I think, a great form of art, is that there's not a lot of other art forms where you can have this sense of discovery, you know, truly, right? Like music, it's hard to have that. Film, it's hard to do that. And it's a form of play that I think is hard to replicate in any other art form. So I think what I learned about myself and why I like Metroidvania games while I was playing Animal Well is that what I really like about the games is that sense of exploration and discovery, right? You go into a new area and you're kind of just like, I wonder what I can do here. I wonder how I can mess around in this area and discover some new stuff, maybe a new unlock, a new item that I can use. And it is right on that boundary of like not explaining too much so you feel like you solved the puzzle for yourself. But the game is designed in such a way that you can go in any direction and discover something every time that you turn it on and play. So yeah, I love this game. I'm bringing it up because it's not super well known. It's an indie game. It was made by one person, a solo developer.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
I think it's like $10 or $15 on the Switch store, so it's much cheaper than your average video game. Yeah, so if you're into Metroidvanias or 2D platformers, I would highly recommend Animal Well. On the Nintendo Switch, it's on Steam, it's on PlayStation. I think it's on pretty much every platform because it's really
what a name.
Not that intensive. Yeah. It also has this like weird, spooky, kind of creepy vibe almost.
Nope.
So
I hate that now. You lost me.
But it has like pixel art. It's like it looks a lot like Super Metroid or something like that.
Okay.
So,
oh, I like that kind of vintage aesthetic.
Yeah.
Let's bring that back.
We should. So yeah, my what's good, Animal Well, play it if you want.
Sounds very good.
So I think that's our episode for today, Geoff.
That's it. It's a wrap, baby. Bye. Bye. This has been Bance with Geoff and Justin. Bance is produced by Geoff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Geoff Taylor. Editing by Justin Benavidez. The theme music for Bance is the track Time With You by Talif featuring Rule, that's spelled RVLE, and is produced by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bancepod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. Don't forget to rate, review, and follow us. Bye! Like within the last year, I believe, Rolling Stone put out a list of like best vote.
Geoff is dying, listeners.
Oh, I was eating some cashews and it got stuck in my throat. Hold on. We'll cut this out.